So we come to this fourth week of Advent. We come to this final week of preparation for the celebration of Christmas. We've perhaps decorated our houses or have found the boxes in the basement to put up the ornaments in the coming days. We've gotten ourselves ready. We know which Christmas parties we're going to. We know which house we're going to go. We know what food we're going to be preparing. We also perhaps maybe know which Mass we're going to be going to on Christmas. We've looked in the bulletin, gone on the parish website, know if we're going with our family to Mass, where we're going to be going. We've also hopefully gone through that journey of spiritual preparation for the celebration of Christmas. Maybe we've reflected upon the different phrases. We picked up an Advent, a book to go through these 24 plus days of Advent. Not only just December, but a true season of preparation. After all, isn't Jesus the reason for the season? And sometimes we need that reminder. Sometimes we need to remember these things. So we heard in our first reading today this prophecy, this little back and forth between King Ahaz and Isaiah. Isaiah, as a representative, a prophet of God, comes to him and says, "What would you ask of the Lord for a sign, so that you know what is going on, so that you and your people may know that the God who is your Father, the God who cares for you, is going to care for you, is going to provide for you." And King Ahaz chooses not to ask for something, and yet God, knowing that the people needed that sign, says, "This is the sign I will give you." It is the sign that we know well. And yet perhaps because of the reality of where we sit in this chronology of the history of salvation, it can get a little bit numb to us, this celebration of Christmas. We know the story. We know Jesus is going to be in the manger. Does that ever happen? Do we not have the joy building within us leading up to that celebration? Do we not have that quiet, gentle peace as we go through this season growing? Or maybe do we find ourselves getting cranky and driving a little bit crazier because everyone else is driving crazier? Maybe we find ourselves getting a little bit more impatient because there's a lot more people in the stores. Where are we at? If we take a true and honest look at ourselves, where are we at with this season of preparation? And I think, too, we can jump into this. We can jump into these mysteries anew and afresh and ask the Lord to show us what they truly mean, what this celebration of Christmas that we've been preparing for these past weeks is to do for us in our lives of faith. If we dive into our gospel, again, it's that familiar story, the beginning of the Gospel of Matthew. Not the very beginning, that's the genealogy, the really, really long one with all the long names. I know Deacon read it this morning. No, this comes right after that. We hear this story of this interaction, Mary betrothed to Joseph. And in that ancient Jewish practice, this betrothal was like unto marriage, not just an engagement, but truly they were given to each other in everything but the life that they shared. They didn't live together yet. And Joseph is seen here to be, and it is said that he is a righteous man, but his actions also speak of his righteousness. He upholds the law. He does so in a manner that is respectful to her. He cares for her. And he seeks to do the will of the Lord, He seeks to live out his faith fully and truly, and yet also does not want to harm this person who he already cares about. And the beauty of this is, too, that God comes to him in a dream. So many of you may be familiar with the tradition of the sleeping St. Joseph statue. The tradition of you take a statue of St. Joseph sleeping. You would place it near your bedside or somewhere around your house. And you take your intentions, those things that you are seeking his intercession for, and write it down on a slip and place it beneath the statue. Then you go to sleep. And you allow him to intercede for us. We look to him as an example of how we are to live out our faith. An example of how we are to go about these things. Joseph listened to the Lord, obedient to him, and then when it's revealed that he needs to do something else, he still is obedient to him. He probably reflected many, many times on this mystery, this prophecy, this experience. These things that he knew of and saw happening not only in the world around him, but very closely in the family that God had given to him to care for. Imagine being there. Imagine entering into that scene, entering into all these things anew. And that's what we're called to do in these coming days. That's what we're called to do when we celebrate Christmas. Yes, there are family dinners. Yes, there are celebrations. There's gifts to give. But if it's not rooted in what we truly are celebrating, and if we truly are not prepared to celebrate it well, then it's just a nice occasion, a nice celebration, and truly is not a great celebration that connects us with the reality of the love of God for us and what he has done and does do in our lives. So this final week is upon us. If we haven't taken those moments, or if we find ourselves, even though we have taken that time, still not prepared to truly celebrate Christmas with faith, with joy, and truly to enter into the celebration of this great, great mystery, now is the time to get prepared to do so.